up next, we have 7 Skills of Successful Change Agents by the utterly delightful Michelle Smeby.
This conference is so much fun. I'm having such a great day. I hope all of you are too. This is amazing talent in this room and people focused, and that's why I'm so excited to talk to you today about the 7 skills of successful change agents. So I'm going to start with the definition because I want to make sure we're all on the same page about what I mean when I'm talking about change. So you have people who know what to do today. They know where to show up, they know what to do, they know how to do their jobs. Maybe it's kind of clunky, maybe it's a little bit difficult, right? But they've been doing it in some cases for many, many years. They're comfortable. When I'm talking about change, I'm talking about encouraging them to step into the unknown, to try something different, to embrace new technology, to embrace this idea of customer experience and the importance of having your customer in the room. When we ask people to think or behave differently, there is naturally a hesitation. It's part of our biological makeup. There's naturally a resistance and a hesitation and a fear. So the key is, how do we embrace these 7 skills of successful change agents to get people motivated and to make it okay to step into the unknown? I'm going to start with a story. In 1962, President John F. Kennedy was touring NASA, and he saw a janitor sweeping the floor. And he went up to him and said, "Hi, I'm Jack Kennedy. What are you doing?" And the janitor said, "Well, Mr. President, I'm helping to put a man on the moon. I'm helping to put a man on the moon." And what was amazing about the product managers and the engineers and the designers at NASA is they had recognized that everybody in the organization had a part to play in the mission and vision and what they were trying to achieve. And this is key when we're talking about change. If we want people to step into the unknown, the fact is they need to feel valued. They need to feel heard. They need to feel respected. Depending on the customer experience that you're trying to drive, depending on the change that you're trying to drive, in some cases, there are going to be people that it's really obvious that you're having a big impact on them. And on some people, the impact may be a bit smaller. The key is, how are you reaching out and recognizing that you are impacting human beings and meeting them where they are and making them feel heard? Because if people feel valued and if they feel like you truly understand that this change means them, they're more willing to get on board. They feel like you're going to be setting them up for success in actually making this change, or at a minimum, they'll suspend disbelief and let you go pilot and see if you can get the results that you're promising, right? So let's talk about the 7 skills of successful change agents. At the outset, what's important when we're embarking on a change is to envision what's possible. Open ourselves up to the possibility. Brainstorm. Get people excited. What is it that we're trying to do? What is the possibility? What if we've never interacted with our customers before through an app, but based on where we're seeing technologies going, what if we were to create an app? What would that look like? How would that interaction change? What's really exciting when we embark on a change effort is if we open ourselves up to the possibility and we challenge the assumptions, we get people excited about being a part of it. We have people who suddenly are like, ooh, they're willing to listen to ideas. I want to get on board. I want to be a part of it. Why is this important? Sadly, the statistics that Gartner publishes about change efforts really haven't changed in the last 20 years. 70% of change efforts fail. And I argue that one of the reasons why they fail is because from the outset, we're limiting ourselves and we're constraining ourselves to what's possible. Sure, you can embark on this change, but you can't touch this feature. Sure, you can embark on this change, but we're not going to let you talk to our customers. Yeah, you can embark on this change, but no. And what happens is, by limiting ourselves to today's constraints, this may be, frankly, why we're so bad at change and why so many change efforts fail. I think the best example of envisioning what's possible was the Apple Think Different campaign back in 1997. Now, I will tell you, back in 1997, when I was so excited by my 28K dial-up modem to get onto the internet, I never envisioned this watch that would give me turn-by-turn directions how to get here today and remind me to close my rings. I didn't envision that. I didn't envision this phone that takes amazing pictures and also holds all of my music. And what I think it's important for us to remember about the Think Different campaign is that when Apple launched it, they were launching it also for their employees. They launched it to their customers, but they also were challenging their employees to think different. So for those of you who don't remember the text, I just want to read it to you. Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them. Because they change things, they push the human race forward. While some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. So now that we're envisioning what's possible, our next important skill is to ask powerful questions. Now, there are perfectly fine questions that we ask every day. Did you get my email? Do you have the conference on your calendar? These are considered polar questions because they really invite a yes or no response. Now, a powerful question, in contrast, is an open-ended one. Tell me about somebody who's been successful at leading change in your organization, and then listen. Tell me about the most exciting customer experience initiative you worked on and what was different about it, and then listen. Powerful questions invite reflection and they start a discussion. And the reason that this is so important is if we don't delve and if we don't truly seek to understand, we may react to the symptoms and not the root cause. We've been hearing quite a bit today where people are talking kind of about the anecdotes and things, but the importance of actually going out and meeting your customers and finding out what their real experience is. Because our idea of what our customers care about may be, frankly, very different than what it truly is. So by asking powerful questions, by reaching out and finding out the truth, we may be surprised at what we learn, and we can make sure that we actually solve the right problems. I've been working as a consultant for many years, and I will tell you that in none of the cases where I signed a contract with a customer did I end up actually solving the problem that was the reason they hired me to begin with. If any of you have worked in consulting, I'm guessing you may have had similar experiences. The stated problem, the reason they're bringing me in, right? We have this poorly performing, department. Can you please just come and fix the department? Or our documentation is terrible. Please come in. Can you just fix our documentation? But when I ask powerful questions and I seek to really understand, what I learn is that the real problem is not the documentation. We don't have clear roles and responsibilities. The people who actually need to receive this document maybe didn't tell the people who are writing it that they were expecting other things in it. Maybe there's a lack of cross-functional communication or collaboration. Or maybe it's a culture where people just haven't been trained. They haven't been given a good example. So they're doing their best. They're showing up, they're trying, but the fact of the matter is they don't know what a good job looks like, so they figure people have been accepting this document the way it is for the last 2 years, I'll just keep doing it. When we ask powerful questions, we can uncover why things are the way that they are, and we can make sure that we actually spend our efforts and our energies and our valuable limited resources on those things that will truly make a difference. Maybe it's really about changing the culture and making it okay to say, I don't know. Making it okay to say, I've been filling in this template to the best of my ability, but I don't exactly know what needs to go here. So I've just been copying the last 3 documents, right? If we actually ask powerful questions and we seek to understand why people are doing what they're doing, we can make sure that we're truly solving the problem that we need to. Our third skill, you're going to see that our skills are going to start to build on each other. Our third skill is listening actively. To actively listen, it means we need to put down our phones. It means we need to acknowledge the human being in front of us. And we need to restate what we've heard so we can make sure that we truly understand what they're telling us. A key part of active listening is showing empathy, especially if this is an organization that has failed at change time and time again, right? There may be people who they need to vent. They need to say, I have 3 other competing priorities and I don't know where this lies on my priority list. And that way we can relate to them and say, I hear you. I understand. Let's figure it out. If we don't listen actively, if we don't demonstrate that we're truly seeking to understand the people's perspective, it's going to lead to mistrust. What I love about today is so many times I've heard of the importance of trust. The importance of trust in making sure that we're actually affecting the change that we want to have happen. If people don't trust us, if they don't believe that we've truly got their back or that we're going to be setting them up for success, the fact of the matter is they're not going to get on board. They're not going to join in, and we're not going to make the change actually happen. I love the fact that there's been a lot of research done recently talking about culture, and we've also heard about both culture and climate today, right? We've been talking about how your company's culture, how the climate, how it actually affects whether people take action or not. This is really key because the majority of the organizations that I go into are older, established organizations. And a lot of them, the management has grown up in this command and control structure, right? This old style of management. I say jump, I expect you to say how high, right? My way or the highway. I'm not rewarding risks, right? Risks are dangerous and icky, and we probably shouldn't do them because that makes our shareholders nervous, right? Don't do it. But the fact of the matter is that our demographics are changing, that in particular when we look at millennials who have joined the workforce and who are coming in with a fresh idea and a more collaborative approach, and this desire really to be heard and to be a part of it and to participate, by using active listening, we can actually start to lead by example. We can start to create that culture change that we're looking for in the organization. When we start to be more inclusive, when we recognize that the people who truly know how our products are made and what our customers care about are likely not the ones who are up in the fancy offices on the top floor, when we start to include those people and make them heard, and especially all of you with your focus on customer experience, when we include you and we really listen to your valuable input, that's when we start to make a difference. And that's when we can start to see the culture shift, and we can start to see people start to really value and recognize the importance of including you and being more human focused. Our fourth skill, now that we've listened, is welcoming others' ideas. Now, I've been a program manager for many years, and I will say anytime I throw out a plan or a design, there are probably going to be 17 new ideas for how I could do it better, why it's wrong, that kind of stuff. Successful change agents are able to pause and take a breath and consider the suggestions. And the reason this is so important is if we take the time and if we can incorporate one of these people's suggestions for how we can do it better, or maybe another customer group that we hadn't considered as being impacted, but maybe we should go make sure that maybe they would like this new product we're thinking of designing. By welcoming others' ideas and considering their suggestions, if we incorporate, we've just created another change agent. They now feel that, wow, I was heard, and they listened to me, and they're including me. Hey guys, you got to be a part of this project. Because the fact of the matter is, whenever we embark on a change, there's going to be buzz. The key is it negative buzz because people just don't believe us and think we're just approaching it in the same old way, using the same old template, using the same old design? Or are we truly demonstrating that we're behaving differently, that we want to be inclusive, that we want to welcome others' ideas? Now, the fact of the matter is, those 17 suggestions I just got on my design and my project plan, I can't incorporate them all, right? We have limits in terms of, time and budget and everything else. So when I say no, the important thing is for me to say so in a way that people understand why, to tell the story, to explain why we need to not incorporate that change. Or I'm a huge fan of parking lots. Or can we put it on the parking lot? Can we put it on the future feature list? Maybe we can't incorporate it into this release, but that's a great suggestion. We're putting it on the list and we'll make sure we consider it for the next release. Again, even if you say no, if you've done so in a way that demonstrates that you've heard the person and they truly feel respected, you still might have created another change agent anyway. Because the experience that they had and the interaction with you was a positive one. If we don't welcome others' ideas, if we say my way or the highway, or this is the plan, love it or lump it, the fact of the matter is we're going to alienate our employees. We're going to alienate our customers. If we're not willing to be open and to consider suggestions, the fact of the matter is we're not going to get them. And we could be going down a wrong path that can suddenly blow up in our faces a little while later because we didn't take the time to understand why the person was suggesting we need to talk to this customer, we need to consider this demographic. I was tasked with launching this business requirements practice at a major health insurance provider. And we had contracted with a team of experts who had a particular methodology for writing these documents, right? So the experts came in and I was tasked with deploying this throughout the organization. Now what's fun about change is you always have an early adopter, right? You always have the person who wants to be first, right? Either they think things are so painful or they just gotta be the first one to do it. You always have somebody who's raising their hand going, I wanna be first. So we had this team and they said, we're on board. We want to be here. We have people with 20 years of experience writing business requirements. We're so on board. We can't wait to learn something different. However, we have a problem with your new template. So the new methodology that we were using, the experts were saying you shouldn't have an assumption section. You shouldn't have an assumption section in this document because it actually hides requirements. You're assuming things, but nobody ever goes back and looks at the assumptions section and nobody tests in user acceptance tests, nobody tests against the assumptions. So you miss stuff and oh my goodness, you know, those things should go in the requirement section. And this group of early adopters said, we're willing to test it out, but oh my goodness, we need an assumption section. We're not comfortable. We're not comfortable trying your new methodology without it because we're comfortable and we're used to having it and please, 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 can we have it? Now the good news was because I was in charge, I got to make the decision. So the decision I made was, okay, I'm leaving the assumption section in, but experts, guess what? After you're done with training, you are going to mentor the new people who are going to use this methodology. And every time they go to write something in the assumption section, you're going to pause and challenge them respectfully and help them see why that's actually a requirement, and then they're going to move it into the requirement section. And so that's what we did. And what was amazing about this was that we got real life examples from within our organization. We proved that the methodology would work even in this company that was so huge and that normally was rather resistant to change. We got fantastic results. We proved it would work. We now had this group of early adopters who were the best PR firm I have ever had because they were so excited. They were telling everybody, oh, these are how fewer defects we have and we're working on the products that we actually want and we're actually delivering better customer satisfaction and oh my God, you've got to get on board too. And we never would have gotten the results if I died on the sword over a little assumption section. And the fact of the matter was, a year later, when we rolled this out more broadly, by then the assumption section was gone because we'd proved that we didn't need it. But I never would have gotten those examples. I never would have gotten those real life user stories if I had, stuck to what the expert said and said, nope, I'm sorry, can't do it. Our fifth successful change agent skill is developing trust. Again, we've heard a lot about trust today. What's so important is that we build professional, healthy relationships. And in particular, every organization I've ever been in, there are the 2 or 3 rock stars that everybody goes to, that everybody wants on all of their projects. Make friends with them. Invite them for coffee. Everybody eats lunch. I even have somebody that we do a virtual happy hour, not during business hours, but we are in different remote locations, so we'll open a bottle of wine and have a conversation in our respective homes. What's great about developing trusted relationships is that there are people who can help you understand the pitfalls, or they can help you navigate a complex organization or the politics because they have those built-in relationships. And the reason you need the relationships with them is because I'm going to say what's been true for every change effort I've ever led. The people who actually get assigned to the project, the ones who are there 40 hours a week actually working on the project, are usually the ones who can be spared. They're fantastic, nice people. They mean really well. But sometimes the best they can do is bring you this process flow that was obsolete 3 years ago when it was published, because that's all they know, right? The people who are truly owning your key customer accounts, those people who are truly being your brand ambassadors and interfacing with your customers day to day, they often can't be spared 40 hours a week to actually help you make this change a reality. So without trusted relationships, Your solution is going to be limited to the knowledge of the people who are on your team. And again, they're well-meaning, but you could miss a completely important stakeholder group that you had no idea about and they didn't know about because they just don't have the tenure or the expertise to be able to raise it. I was consulting for a bank and they were undergoing a software change. There was a senior executive who had ended the contract with their existing banking software vendor, and he had done it in such a way that they said, this is your drop dead date, there will be no exceptions, there will be no extensions, good luck. And I thought, oh dear, I was new to banking. I have a checking account, but I'd never done a banking software change. And I had heard all of these anecdotes about how poorly the previous one had gone. So I asked around and I said, if you could have any rock star on your team, who would it be? And I kept hearing the name Angelique. So I developed a relationship with her. I reached out, and because I approached her with humility and because I'd built a relationship with her, I asked her, hey, Angelique, I heard that last software vendor change was really painful. Can you please tell me what was the most painful part of the last change? And she said, you know what, Michelle? It was the data. Now, it probably won't surprise a lot of you, but data is not always clean. You know, you have somebody who is something rather junior, but the junior is in the phone number field, right? Or my zip code for some reason ended up in the apartment field. And they had so many challenges with the data that they spent months after the software change with people at the bank just trying to clean things up and get it going. And so because I talked to Angelique and because she'd very honestly told me the key challenges, we designed the banking software program to have 3 rounds of data conversion. Now, what was awesome as a program manager was I could manage expectations for all 3 rounds. Round 1 of data, I expect garbage. Woohoo! We found the garbage and we cleaned it up, right? Round 2, let's map. Let's make sure that the right checking accounts are mapped to the right checking accounts. The right savings accounts are mapped to the right savings account. By round 3, we will have cleaned up the data. We know everything is mapped appropriately. By round 3, we'll be clean. And because we designed the program this way, we launched on time. We moved hundreds of millions of dollars. They balanced to the penny. And I would never have designed a project plan that looked like that if it hadn't been for Angelique. Build trusted relationships because these people can actually tell you the pitfalls and help make sure that when you launch, you're going to be successful. Our 6th skill of successful change agents is influencing without authority. Now, I don't know about you. Whoops. Pardon me. Well, I'm going to pretend you didn't see those. Our 6th skill is influencing without authority. Now, often my title as consultant, the titles of the people who are actually assigned on the change teams, they're not going to convince anybody to really get on board, right? But the fact of the matter is, in order to make change happen, we need to be able to influence people from other departments, from other parts of the organization, our customers. We need to get them excited about what we're doing, or at a minimum, suspend disbelief, right? Will you please just let me try, and let's see if we can get some results, and then we'll come back to you and see how we're doing. Influencing without authority is key. We need to be able to share stories. We need to be able to be authentic. And we need to be able to adapt based on our audience. And these are things that I think everyone in this room especially appreciates, right? The importance of being able to meet your audience where they are and speak to them in a language that doesn't sound like technical gobbledygook, right? That actually sounds like something that's meaningful and that they can get behind. If we aren't able to influence without authority, we're not going to get the benefit. That's the reason that we're embarking on change. Now, the majority of my clients are publicly traded companies, so they have shareholders. So every effort I'm involved in has some type of expected return on investment, right? There's some type of benefit we're expecting from this change actually taking place. If we can't get people on board, if we can't get them behaving differently, if behind the scenes they're going back and they're still using that Excel with the macros that is prone to human error, and but they're comfortable with it, the fact is we're not going to get the better outcome. That's the reason why we're embarking on change. We need to be able to influence without authority to actually get people on board. My stepfather taught me that the following are the 8 most powerful words in the English language. I have a problem. I need your help. The reason these words are so powerful is because in full humility, I'm approaching you and I'm saying, I have a problem. I'm not saying you are the problem. I'm not blaming you for the fact that I'm in this situation. The fact is, I have a problem. I've been tasked with launching this daunting new product or this daunting new feature, and I need your help. I need your expertise. I need your network. I need your know-how. I need you to please stop saying that my project is not a priority. Whatever it is that I need from you, in full humility, I'm approaching you and I'm asking you for help. And when we approach people this way, this is a hugely successful way to influence without authority, because we're also appealing to people and we're appealing to their better natures, and we're also helping them understand that this change, this challenge, it's bigger than they are. And it's bigger than I am in my role on the change team, right? We need their help. We need them to help us navigate the politics. Please, please help me be successful. And here's why. Our final skill of successful change agents is focusing on the goal. Now, recognition is great. Personal glory feels amazing, right? I have a dear girlfriend who works for Nike, and they give out these amazing shoes. Like, there's this fantastic award, and so people who've won the award have shoes kind of lining their wall. It sounds super cool, and I guess there's a big gala and everything. It's really fun. That feels great. It's super fun to do things like that. But the fact of the matter is, when we're embarking on a change, it's not about us. It's about the change. Have any of you ever worked for a boss who was only in it for themselves? Any of you? How'd that make you feel in the morning? Were you super excited to get out of bed? I can't wait to go to work and get Rob his promotion. Right? The thing is, if we're truly in it for the recognition, if we're truly in it for our bonus or for our next opportunity in the organization or beyond, people can tell. It will lead to isolation and distrust because people will be able to tell that we're not in it for what we think is the right thing to do, the right thing for our customers, the right thing for our organization. If we're in it for ourselves, have fun. They're going to leave us. They're going to leave us to fail. Now, Karen Pryor is a behavioral biologist. She's the creator of clicker training for any of you who have dogs or parrots. I know the Como Zoo even uses it, right? The clicker training to help train animals. And what I love about Karen Pryor is these next 8 steps are exactly the natural biological resistance to change that happens, right? And she did this blog post on being a change maker. When she says change maker, just think change agent. And what I love about this list is this is exactly what I've experienced on every change I've ever worked on. Our first step is they ignore you. Oh, she's talking about change. Isn't that cute? It doesn't mean me. Yeah. So what we need to do when they're ignoring us is find allies. Find those early adopters. Find those people who believe in the possibility. Find those people who helped you brainstorm and envision what's possible. Find them and persist. Then they start to pretend to agree. Oh, sure, that's a great idea. And they do nothing. Again, find your allies. Persist. Our third phase is when they start to resist, delay, and obstruct, right? Now the change is getting really close to them. Now they realize, oh, you actually meant me? Here are all the reasons why I can't. Here are all the reasons why I can't possibly do it. This is when I always think of Sesame Street, right? Over, under, or through. This is my over, under, or through phase, right? When they start to resist, delay, obstruct, get creative. Find other ways around. Find other allies. Find other venues or vehicles or ways that you can still get to your customers, still get the data you're looking for. The fourth phase is the really, really difficult. This is when they start to attack. This is when things can get personal. I've had awful things said to me that I never thought a human being would ever say to another human being. And this is when we need to take a deep breath and be empathetic and recognize that they're manifesting the natural human fear of change, So how can we make sure that they feel heard and they feel respected, but we're going to keep going, right? We're going to keep going. Don't take it personally. It's going to be hard, but don't take it personally because change is happening. Fifth stage, now they've started to absorb. Oh, the personal attacks didn't work. I guess I'll actually read your literature. Maybe I'll go actually check out the app, right? Download it on my phone. This is great. Keep going. Now they're going to actually utilize. Ooh, wait, they're actually using it in the wild. They're actually doing it. Fantastic. Keep going. Step 7 is when I have to take a giant breath. And now they're taking credit. The people who have openly attacked you, who tried to get you fired, who made it personal and made it a living hell for the last month, and now they're claiming credit. That was totally my idea to begin with. This is when successful change agents recognize that our goal was change. Fantastic. They want to take credit, let them. Because now that they've taken credit, they're now proselytizing. They're on every soapbox, every departmental meeting. This is the best change we've ever been a part of, and woo, you all need to get on board. Fantastic. They're so motivated and excited and believing in change being possible. What's the next change you're about to lead, and how can you get them on board right now? Because they're on this high, they're so excited, they believe it's possible. Use them. And hopefully, because they're going to start out as change agents to begin with, you won't have to go through the openly attack and taking it personally. So these are 7 change agent skills that I've just walked you through. Our first, envisioning what's possible. Make sure that we're opening ourselves up to the possibility and not limiting ourselves to what constrains or what prevents us from being effective at change today. Ask powerful questions. Make sure that we're actually solving the root cause of the problem and not just addressing the symptoms. Listen actively. Seek to understand. Without this, people will not trust us. They won't trust that we appreciate the true impact to them or what it means to them or how they need to be a part of the change, and they're not going to be willing to get on board. Welcome others' ideas. Again, they may have even better ideas than the limited number of people who are assigned to your team, right? These other people may have fantastic suggestions or no additional workarounds or people to include up front. Without it, our impacted employees, they may become alienated because if they just think you're just crossing your arms and doing things the same old way, it's not going to happen. Develop trusted relationships. Find those rock stars. Find those people who will help you navigate, help you be successful, help champion the change. Because we don't want to limit to those well-meaning people, but who just don't fundamentally understand how to make it happen here. Influence without authority. We want to reap the benefit of why we're embarking on change to begin with. And really focus on the goal. Again, recognition is great. Personal glory would be fantastic. Bonuses, promotions, all of these things are fantastic. Yet if that's our only motivator, if that's the real driver for why we're showing up every day and why we're trying to persist and make this change happen, people can tell. And they're not going to trust us, and they're not going to trust that we truly have their best interest at heart. These are the 7 skills of successful change agents. I want to say thank you.
Thank you so much. What a wonderful presentation. One of the things that comes up that I noticed in your presentation is that virtually every stage of your presentation emphasizes the fact that the change agent is taking a subordinate position to the people who they're going to be changing, and being a student, being a learner, being the person who's not overtly in control. And I think that for some of us who are fairly well educated and all that, that can be very hard. So tell me a little bit about how you get yourself into the mind frame of doing that without feeling that you are being, I don't know, not in control. I guess that's
Thank you. That's a fantastic question. Thank you for that. The key that I've found is I love this idea of service leadership, of the fact that if you're bringing me in to lead something, the reason that I'm here to lead it is because I'm actually here to be of service. That it is often the customers who, frankly, if you give them a venue, they may tell you the key features that they really want, right? How are you opening up the feedback loop? How are you making them feel heard so that they can actually tell you? So it's really about being of service, and it's really about approaching things from humility. I think in my case in particular, because I'm a consultant, when I go into an organization, I am not an expert. I'm not an expert in your customers. I'm not an expert in your products. I'm not an expert in your technology. But what I can give you is I can give you these tools and these ideas and how to maybe facilitate differently, how to treat your people differently. That to me, if we open it up for people and if we lead from behind, this is really powerful. Because when we lead from behind, then people feel like it's okay. It's okay to take a risk. It's okay to raise their hand. It's okay to offer up. What if we did change that feature that everybody said we can't change for the last 20 years because it was the original product that launched us to begin with? And so to your point, it's really about helping people make that mindset switch to the fact that our goal is change. Our goal is to create this culture where people are showing up as their best selves, right? Where they want to innovate, where they feel like it's really a climate where they can raise their hands, they can offer up ideas, where they feel heard, where they feel welcomed, where they feel respected. Because when we create that kind of atmosphere, people will come up with the most astonishing things. That quiet engineer who's been sitting in the corner for 20 years just quietly typing away may have some fantastic ideas for how to make our products faster, smarter, more integrated with something else that we want to do. And by leading from behind, by approaching it from how can we be of service, how can we open up our culture and encourage this idea of empathy and inclusion, all of a sudden we get surprising ideas from surprising quarters that we may not have heard from before. And that is like a spark that then leads to a fire, right? Because again, buzz happens. The thing is the buzz happening because people are just saying, ugh, those last 3 changes failed. And oh, here's another, failed change on the way, and I don't want to be a part of it, and you shouldn't be either. Versus the new approach where, ooh, they heard me and they incorporated my idea and they said, yeah, we really should go meet with that customer. They're behaving differently. I want to be a part of it, and I think you should too. Does that help?
That was a great question. We'll take one more right here.
Thanks. What a great talk.
Thank you.
I love that you tied it into the biology piece. Yay. Okay. So I'm in a project right now where I'm in the active resistance. So where are your tips about how to push through some of that?
Yeah, let's go back. Okay, active resistance. Okay, number one. Number one, find the person or persons that you actually have a trusted relationship with and to whom you can vent, and that they can vent to you too. So this is an important part of establishing the culture even within your change team, right? Because there are going to be times that you just need to take a breath or go for a walk or go get a glass of wine if that's something that you do, right? So first of all, find those people who will let you do that so that you don't potentially lose it in front of the customer or in front of the person who's actually, right, making your life difficult. So it's really about finding those people, making sure that your sponsor also has the backbone, frankly, to say, listen, keep going. Make sure that your sponsor has been educated in knowing that this is a natural part of resistance and that we need to keep going, and make sure that they're still reinforcing and championing and making sure that people understand, okay, I know this person over here is screaming and saying it's not possible, but guess what? We're still willing to try. I still believe in this project. I still believe in this effort. I still believe that this is the direction that we want to go as an organization. So find the sponsors, find the trusted people that you can vent to, and also really make sure that HR has got your back. Because if you're within an organization, right, and you're embarking on something and you're about to get some personal attacks and you're about to have people complaining about you, or I've had multiple people try to get me fired, make sure that HR at least knows, hey, guess what? I'm acting as a change agent here. You may start to hear things like this about me, so let's make sure we have an open dialogue so I can at least justify why that person took offense to my email that I really didn't think they should take offense to, and they sent it all the way up to the CEO and said, is this really a person we want in the organization, right? So find those allies, find those people who will have your back, and find the safe ways where you can also take a break, because what's important is to sometimes even go for a walk and just recognize that the reason this is so difficult right now is because change is happening. So don't forget that part. Because if they're not attacking you, it might be that change isn't happening.
It's actually a project sponsor. All the lower-level people are excited, and our project sponsor is freaking out. So it's really weird.
Got it. Well, so if it's your project sponsor who's freaking out, so actually in our book, we also have a whole section on train the sponsor. So yes, it's very important. That's one of the things that surprised me when I launched Holistic Change, was how much of the time I would spend actually coaching executives in how to be a sponsor, because they've put all of their blood, sweat, and tears into getting to that really snazzy office, right? And they want to stay there. And now they're hearing rumblings, or things are getting difficult and they're starting to get worried. And so in some cases, they need to understand what it means to be a sponsor and what that role is, and be coached. Be coached into hey, I realize that you started out as a junior developer and now you're the chief information officer. That's awesome. Congratulations. Guess what? You have a different role now. You can't just give your buddy who originally hired you into the organization, can't give him an exception, right? You still have to hold firm. You have to believe in this change. You have to have my back, and I'm going to coach you on how to get there. All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.